Well, hello, Michael here. Looking again today, Psalms 44. And we're going to be looking at specifically verse 13 through to 17 for the exposition. This psalm, which is subtitled, Come to Our Help. And so let's read those first verses then, from 13 through to 17. Verse 13. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbours, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Verse 14. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. Verse 15. My confusion is continually before me, and the shame of my face hath covered me. Verse 16. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemeth, by reason of the enemy and avenger. Verse 17. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. And so we're going to look to the treasury of David for the exposition. Verse 13. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbours. Scorn is always an intensely bitter ingredient in the cup of the oppressed. The taunts and jeers of the victors pain the vanquished almost as much as their swords and spears. It was a mystery indeed that God should suffer his royal nation, his peculiar people, to be taunted by all who dwelt near them, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. The downtrodden people had become a common jest, as base as Israel, cried the cruel tongue of the tyrant. So ordinary had the scorn become that the neighboring nations, though perhaps equally oppressed, borrowed the language of the conquerors and joined in the common mockery. To be a derision to both strong and weak, superiors, equals, and inferiors is hard to bear. The tooth of scoffing bites to the bone. The psalmist sets forth the brutality of the enemy in many words in order to move the pity of the Lord, to whose just anger he traced all the sorrows of his people. He used the very best of arguments, for the suffering of his chosen touched the heart of God far more readily than any other reasonings. Blessed be his name. Our great advocate above knows how to avail himself of this powerful plea. And if we are at this hour enduring reproach for truth's sake, he will urge it before the eternal throne. And shall not God avenge his own elect? A father will not long endure to see his children despitefully entreated. He may put up with it for a little, but his love will speedily arouse his anger, and then it will fare ill with the persecutor and reviler. Verse 14. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. The lamentation is here repeated. They had sunk so low that none did them reverence, but universally and publicly they were treated as infamous and despicable. Those who reviled others dragged in Israel's name by the way as a garnish to their insults. And if perchance they saw one of the seed of Jacob in the street, they used lewd gestures to annoy him. Those whose heads were emptied wagged them at the separated people. They were the common butts of every fool's arrow. Such has been the lot of the righteous in ages past. Such is their portion in measures now. Such may be yet again their heritage in the worst sense. The world knows not its nobility. It has no eye for true excellence. It found a cross for the master, and cannot be expected to award crowns to his disciples. Verse 15. My confusion is continually before me. The poet makes himself the representative of his nation and declares his own constant distress of soul. He is a man of ill blood who is unconcerned for the sorrows of the church of which he is a member, or the nation of which he is a citizen. The better the heart, the greater his sympathy. and the shame of my face hath covered me. One constant blush, like a crimson mantle, covered him both before God and man. He felt before God that the divine desertion was well deserved, and before man that he and his people were despicable indeed, now that heavenly help was gone. It is well for a nation when there still exists in it men who lay to heart its sin and shame. God will have pity on its chastened ones, and it is a pledge thereof when he sends his choice ministers, men of tenderness, who make the people's case their own. Verse 16. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemeth. It seemed that from mocking the people of God, the adversaries advanced to reviling God himself. They proceeded from persecution to the sin which is next of kin, namely blasphemy. By reason of the enemy and avenger. The enemy boasted of avenging the defeats of their forefathers. They took revenge for the ancient victories of Israel by insulting over the now fallen people. Here was a sad plight for a nation to be placed in, but it was by no means a hopeless case, for the Lord who brought all this evil upon them could with equal ease release them from it. So long as Israel looked alone to her God, and not to her own arm, no foe could retain her beneath his foot. She must arise, for God was on her side. Verse 17. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee. Here the psalmist urges that Israel had not turned away from her allegiance to Jehovah. When in the midst of many griefs we can still cling to God in loving obedience, it must be well with us. True fidelity can endure rough usage. Those who follow God for what they get will leave him when persecution is stirred up, but not so the sincere believer. He will not forget his God, even though the worst come to the worst. Neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. No idol was set up. The ordained worship was not relinquished. God was still nationally acknowledged, and therefore the psalmist is more earnest that the Lord should interpose. This and the succeeding verses are suitable for the lips of martyrs. Indeed, the entire psalm might be called the martyr's complaint. Not for sin, but for righteousness did the saints suffer. Not for falsehood, but for truth. Not for forsaking the Lord, but for following hard after him. Sufferings of such a sort may be very terrible, but they are exceedingly honorable. And the comforts of the Lord shall sustain those who are counted worthy to suffer for Christ's sake. Heavy indeed are these verses of Psalms 44 as people and a nation come under the wrath of God. Yet his love is paramount, and he will thus save them. Trust you enjoyed the meditation. Michael here declaring yet again, Jesus is Lord. Until next time, be blessed.